For this project, I have chosen the Holocaust Memorial that is located in Miami. The Holocaust Memorial commemorates the victims of the Holocaust, in which Nazi Germans murdered around 6 million Jews. During this time, every Jewish man, woman, or child found was persecuted or often sent to a concentration camp. While the Nazi persecution of the Jews began in 1933, the actual mass murders were committed during World War II. This era was horrific, and the Jews had many years of suffering, but when it was finally over, they began to rebuild their spirits. Since then, the Holocaust has been memorialized into many museums and monuments. This allows survivors to not forget, but to forgive. And after learning of the horrors of the Holocaust, we began to see the dangers of remaining silent and indifferent to the cruelty of others. And thus, the famous Holocaust Memorial was built in Miami. Kenneth Treister was picked to build and sculpt the entirety of the sculptures and pieces within the Holocaust. He was renowned for his architectural accomplishments within the Jewish community. In addition, he had done many industrial and residential projects in Israel. Israel was the location of an education center called Yad Vashem that inspired and helped with the Holocaust Memorial. He was qualified to build a large and detailed sculpture that the community had longed to see, and he was perfect for the job. Kenneth Treister worked on the memorial for a very long time. Each sculpture, which there were 11, were made uniquely, but also consisted of a clay base and an outside cover of giant pink hue stone. The materials had been imported from Israel, where Treister had done previous work. The location of the memorial was 1933 through 1945 Meridian Avenue, which are the street numbers that match the years of the Holocaust. The ceremony can be seen at the top for the pictures, and it's greatly remembered and very emotional. For the rhetorical analysis of the Holocaust Memorial, you'll see a common theme throughout the devices Kenneth Treister uses. He uses them in order to memorialize the extent of the victims' painful suffering and give absolution to their hardship. The symbolism displayed throughout the memorial conveys the physical and emotional toll on the victims during the Holocaust. One example of this can be seen in the Garden of Meditation. It is a serene and peaceful garden dedicated to the memory of the Jewish souls that are now lost. The pond is enclosed in water lilies that bloom day in and day out, which produce white flowers. These white flowers represent those who died during the Holocaust. The circular pond in the garden represents the Jewish symbol of continuity. The sculpture of Love in English is the centerpiece of the Holocaust Memorial. The area of the sculpture is made up of Jewish family members reaching to each other and helping in the final act of love. The hand is encompassed with children and adults who are starved and desperate, resenting the harsh conditions under which they lived. They are grasping for one another's hand and are reaching up towards the sky. This is an act of hope and relentlessness for Savior. The Holocaust Memorial incorporates symbolism because there's no simple way to remember or honor the victims of the Holocaust who died in such horrible ways. The Holocaust Memorial does an immaculate job of summoning a strong emotional response or pathos to Treister's work. On the right, when you walk into the memorial, you'll see a mother standing and weeping over her 2 children. The statue is one of the very many figures of victims in the memorial, with their actions displaying pure hatred and futility. When looking at their faces, veins are popped out, showing the frustration, but at the same time, their heads are low and eyes are drooped. The sculpture of the mother and her children generally provoke the most emotion, because it appeals to any age of audience. Anyone can feel his or her pain and the lost connection with his or her family. The memorial wall is a reminder of how many human souls perished in the Holocaust. It aids with the families with an intangible link with their loved ones. The names of the victims on the memorial wall allow the tourist to reflect on how many individuals have perished in the most prejudicial and cruel death. To this day, many more names are added. This brings out grief because it confirms that there are many lost souls and many who have not been commemorated for their death. And having an emotional connection with the survivors' past helped the victims break out of their silence. That makes no sense. The designer appeals to ethos through the use of credible sources who could describe and express the history and emotions that occurred. Anne Frank, a famous Jewish girl, wrote in her diary that in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Anne Frank is a famous Jewish girl because she was one of the Jews that were in hiding. The memorial did not just place random quotes by individuals who had not encountered this event firsthand, but instead put quotes in by a girl who had experienced the tragedy. She describes the truth as horrifying and expresses feelings of those who lived during the Holocaust. Her journal today is seen around the world. The committee who put this together needed somewhere people could learn the true horrors and the multiple events that took place. Thus, Helen Fagan wrote the history of it all in the Arbor of History. She is part of the Holocaust Memorial Committee and is an actual survivor. She has full credibility and uses her own knowledge of what she has experienced and professionally learned instead of using what is already around the internet. Anne Frank and Helen Fagan are examples of those who lived during the Holocaust and help demonstrate the reality of the Holocaust. The Holocaust Memorial has taught me a lot about sculpting. At first I looked at the monument as a brutal interpretation of the Holocaust, but as I researched, I found so many ways it was not. The monument is so frequently visited and many students come to the monument for field trips. Thanks for watching.